Hello, this is Dave, and for the next half hour, I'll be reading from Buffalo Rising on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. This article is Buffalo. Who knew that Buffalo Architecture Alternative Guide has been launched? Buffalo. Who knew that our architectural richness has so much depth that there is now a mobile-based guide that provides visibility of and exposure to overlooked spaces and marginalized histories, such as black architecture, beyond the famous master architects represented in this city, Wright, Richardson, Sullivan, etc. Buffalo Architecture, an alternative guide, has launched to create an accessible resource that contrasts with traditional guidelines that highlights the city's wealth of historic landmarks. Moreover, the guide emphasizes modern needs for smaller, efficient, and reusable buildings while exploring how Buffalo's unique past, Erie Canal and Olmsted Parks, informs today's urban landscape and architecture. The Buffalo Who Knew podcast is hosted by Fritz Abel, an entrepreneur, historic preservationist, urbanist, and micro-developer. He currently runs Materials Inn, manages his properties at 5 Points, sits on a few boards, and defines his time among Buffalo and the Hudson Valley and New York City. Oxford Pennant will soon be hanging its flag in the Larkin district. The designer and manufacturer of wool felt pennants, flags, and banners announced today that the company will relocate and expand to its operations into a new facility at 775 Seneca Street later this year. The company has outgrown its current space at 810 Main Street in Allentown as demand for its retail and custom products continues to grow. The new location will allow the company to bring its 47-person team under one roof while expanding production capacity, improving workflow, and supporting long-term growth. Buffalo has been wonderful for Oxford Pennant, providing us with incredible creative talent that produces one-of-a-kind product in high quantities every day, said David Horesh, president and co-founder of Oxford Pennant. I can't imagine being this successful in any other city. I am committed to Buffalo as our company's home and feel a great deal of pride and honor joining the Larkinville community. I expect many happy years for in our new neighborhood. 775 Seneca Street is a historic two-story brick building formerly home to Custom Canvas Manufacturing Company. Originally constructed around 1890 for use as a grocery store, the building was purchased by Larkin Development in November of 2024. The two-story, 16,088-foot square building has been altered over the years but retains an ornate second story. Larkin Development Group is honored to welcome Oxford Pennant to the building and the Larkin neighborhood. They are an exceptional tenant fit as they both honor the legacy of the building as a textile manufacturing space following custom canvas and embody the growing entrepreneurial spirit of the district and neighboring businesses. We are very excited to see their team and their energy here soon, said Kyle Azemski, CEO of Larkin Development Corporation. Oxford Pennant was represented in the transaction by Newmark Simonelli. Newmark Simonelli began working with Oxford Pennant in fall of 2023 as the company's brokerage partner, exploring a range of potential locations across Buffalo before identifying 775 Seneca Street as the right long-term fit. It's been an honor to represent such an iconic Buffalo business, said Kyle Simonelli, president of Newmark Simonelli. The partnering of Oxford Pennant with an incredible landlord like the Zemski family is deeply rewarding. This move is a win for Oxford Pennant, Larkinville, and Buffalo as a whole. All Oxford Pennant products are designed and produced in Buffalo using high-quality materials, blending historical reference with thoughtful design. The company will cease current operations at its current location on completion of the move and will operate solely from the Seneca Street facility. The largest market-rate residential project underway in the downtown Buffalo area is taking shape at the edge of the medical campus. Symphony Property Management is building a 132-unit complex that fronts both Michigan Avenue and Maple Street. The Michigan Avenue side of the complex has been framed for some time, while work on the Maple Street wing is just ramping up. The project consists of 4 stories on Maple Street and 5 stories on Michigan Avenue, with lobbies off of each street. 78 parking spaces are planned in an enclosed garage on the ground floor. The first floor will have a fitness center and offices for building manager. Steiglitz Snyder Architecture designed the project. DeUval University has made changes to its proposed student housing complex it seeks to build at 443 West Avenue. The proposed 5-story building would be constructed by Uniland Development and designed by Elev 8 Architecture. The planning board will review the new plan on Monday. Changes are made based on city and neighborhood input include York Street setback, removed a row of 1-bedroom units from the York-facing leg of the building, providing a 21-foot setback from adjacent residential properties, and addressing concerns about a large continuous wall near backyards. Plymouth frontage activation, reconfiguring parking to introduce a small park along Plymouth, responding to neighbor requests for greater public space and engagement on the street frontage. Reduced surface parking and added green space. Decrease the amount of surface parking on the site to create additional green areas and improve overall character of the site. Building expansion toward Plymouth, extending the building footprint to the new proposed green space on Plymouth, adding 30 units and bringing the total unit count to 218. This also strengthens street-level activation. Improved neighbor DYU relations, began addressing prior neighborhood concerns, including fence repairs, tree removals, and cleanup of the pocket park at York and West as a first step toward more consistent communication between DeUval and the community. The new residence will offer primary individual apartment-style units, each featuring a full kitchen and in-unit laundry. Pending approvals, the project is scheduled to break ground in January of 2026 and be completed by June of 2027. Time for a fitting tribute to Bubbleman? I recently received an email from Allentown frequenter Dave Saya, who suggested that the life of beloved Charles Chuck, the Bubble Man in Corvia, should somehow, someway be memorialized. After his passing 4 years ago, the bubbles ceased to float out of his window, much to the despair of his fans who had come to count on his devout way of spreading cheer. 2025 was a tough year for Allentown, with the very sad loss of artist Mickey Harmon and the unfortunate burnings of the Old Pink and Brick Bar partying institutions. After writing about the pending closing of Allen Burger Venture and stating that Bubble Man was no longer around to brighten things up, Saya wrote to me stating, "Has anyone ever discussed putting a giant fiberglass bubble wand on the building at the corner of Allen and Elmwood where the Bubble Man lived? You probably noticed that there's a giant axe on the wall at Riverworks to advertise the throwing range. I was thinking that we need a giant bubble wand on the side of the building to mark Bubble Man, who was a fixture of the neighborhood for many years. I think it would quickly become a quirky landmark that locals and visitors alike would enjoy, and it would be a way to perpetuate the history of Allentown as a unique, fun destination in the city. I immediately wrote back to Saya expressing my appreciation for his idea. If there was ever a time to promote a public art project of this nature, it's right now. My husband and I spent a lot of time on Allen over the years, and it made us sad to think there would be no more bubbles at the intersection, wrote Saya. How many Buffalonians have happy memories of the corner of Allen and Elmwood with bubbles floating in the air? The intersection is forever linked to the Bubble Man. A giant bubble wand on the side of the building would quickly become a quirky landmark and would be a playful way to commemorate the reputation of Allentown as a fun, unique destination in the city. People would say, "Let's meet at the Bubble Wand," or "It's on the right, just past Bubble Wand." It should be noted that a tribute to Bubble Man is being considered for the new Pocket Park at 169 Allen Street, which is great to hear. At the same time, perhaps a more fitting salute would be to fashion an elevated art installation at the exact location where the magic unfolded on a day-to-day basis. As for getting a project like this off the ground, Saya suggested that the Buffalo AKG Art Museum or the Birchfield Penny Art Center could get involved with such an endeavor. It could one day rival the notoriety of Shark Girl. Additionally, if an actual operational budget contraption was incorporated into the installation, the mood of Allentown would forever be lighter and brighter. Personally, I would love to see this whimsical idea get some traction. You are listening to a reading of articles and features from Buffalo Rising on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Ocean's 12, Coming to the Westbrook. Back in the day, I was a huge fan of Amaryllis Restaurant, located at the lower level of the Westbrook Apartments at 675 Delaware Avenue. When they closed in 2008, it was a sad day. At the time, I figured that it wouldn't be long before another restaurant operator would take over the space. Boy, was I wrong. At long last, I'm happy to say there's a new restaurant concept coming to the restaurant called Ocean's 12. Owner Steve Lorenzo has owned and operated a number of other restaurants, including his most recent pop-up at the Erie Basin Marina called Ocean's 11. Prior to that, Lorenzo was involved with catering for Lecom Harbor Center and the Buffalo Sabres. I happened to bump into Lorenzo this past summer as I wandered over to his Ocean's 11's establishment after spending some time at Sully's, Erie Basin Marina. At the time, he told me about a new set-down restaurant concept that he was working on, but it wasn't until I spoke to one of his partners, James Ehrig, that I fully grasped the concept. Ehrig, who is handling many of the logistics, revealed that one of the biggest hooks at Ocean's 12 is going to be the wraparound LED screens that would simulate the feeling of dining underwater. The walls will all be painted black, and a custom epoxy seabed will be painted on the floor, adding to the aquatic mystique. If there was any restaurant located where this would work, 675 Delaware Avenue would be it, as it is essentially a lower-level grotto-esque location. Just because there will be an aquatic theme doesn't mean that it will be solely based on seafood. While seafood will be a staple menu item, there will also be plenty of Italian options, lunch, brunch, and dinner. A catering and banquet component will follow sometime down the road. When Ehrig told me about the catering and banquet element, I was surprised. I remember that Amaryllis has been very quaint with no room for banquets, but Ehrig divulged that the entire footprint of the space was a whopping 6,400 square feet. He said that there was a banquet area that not many people were aware of, which would present the operators with some incredible opportunities. The catering and banquet area will be referred to as Ocean's 13. A second bar will be located in the expanded space, along with built-in buffet stations for lunch and brunch. Patrons will also have the option of sitting down and ordering if they prefer. There will be no buffet options for dinner. There will be a full bar. As for the layout, the restaurant itself, the original retro boomerang bar would be preserved, which I was happy to hear. The LED screens wrapping the walls will certainly add a dramatic effect to the overall ambience. I'm sure that this will be a big draw, as will the culinary offerings. We're going to have a wide range of foods, said Ehrig, with a big selection of wine. We're also setting up a program where we personally cater to the 206 residents within the building. We will bring food right to their door, or they can take the elevator down, which opens directly to the restaurant. Stephen lives in the building, so he will always be on hand to supervise. We're also considering opening up for occasional supper clubs, invitation only, with exclusive menus, tastings. We feel that being centrally located in the midst of so many hotels, apartment buildings, and the medical campus, we're in a spot to try out some new ideas. Oceans 12 will be opening its doors in early 2026. You can see Facebook for updates. You are listening to a reading of articles and features from Buffalo Rising and the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. American flags are to fly over Elmwood Village and the Allentown this summer in honor of veterans. When it comes to banners waving along Elmwood Avenue, we can always count on Pride to deliver. But other than the Pride event, light pole banners are typically devoid of flags. That is interesting in that many cities and towns ensure that there are always flags hung. Of course, the go-to flag is the American flag, which is symbolic of an entirely different type of pride in one's country and the heroes that have fought for it. The problem with hanging American flags is a bit complex. First of all, who pays for the flags and the hardware? And who hangs and maintains the flags? This can be a costly endeavor, which is why we have yet to see American flags waving along streets such as Elmwood. Not that the people haven't tried. They have, but efforts have been stymied, until now. Just in time for the 4th of July, Elmwood Avenue, from Forest Avenue to Virginia Street, will be adorned with American flags, thanks to the grassroots efforts led by a small group of residents that felt there were no longer any excuses not to get the job done. As a way to pay tribute to our nation's veterans and active duty military, the patriotic flags will be displayed throughout the summer. This effort grew organically from the start. Everything seemed to fall into place, like the path was already laid out for us, said Domenico Caloccia, Canisius High School alumni 2024, and one of the project's organizers. As a community, we need to do something meaningful to show our appreciation while bringing good energy to the neighborhood. Italian Americans have a proud and significant military heritage in this country, said Len Sciolino, board member of CCI and project organizers. 1.5 million served in World War II, despite being new and first-generation Americans. We stood with our country then, and we stand with them now. This initiative really came together. The support has been overwhelming, and we look forward to continuing our patriotic efforts for many years to come. To support the project or contribute to the ongoing maintenance of flags, donations may be made to Centro Culturale Italiano di Buffalo, CCI, a nonprofit organization whose mission is to promote Italian language and culture in Western New York. Please specify that your donation is for the American Flag Project. Buffalo doesn't hibernate. January events you won't want to miss. There's so much to do in the Queen City. While other cities might take it easy in January, in Buffalo, there is something for everyone to do. Warm up at Soup Fest, get up close with the BPO, learn how to process herbs, or watch a Broadway classic performed by local favorites. What other city offers this kind of cultural experience? I certainly can't name one. We will see you out and about in Buffalo this month. Feldman at 100 is a free 2-day festival at the University at Buffalo celebrating the centennial of visionary composer Morton Feldman, whose work and teaching helped shape Buffalo's identity as a global hub for experimental music. The lineup includes a pre-concert talks, performances, and a film screening, a must-see experience for a contemporary music fan. Feldman at 100 is on January 12th and 13th, 2026. That's today at UB Slee Hall, North Campus. go.buffalo.edu/concerts. It's free and open to the public. That's Buffalo. Visit Buffalo spotlights our city through new multi-million-dollar campaign. Visit Buffalo unveiled its most ambitious rebranding in 4 decades, a multi-million-dollar campaign designed not only to attract visitors from across the country, but also to remind Buffalonians of the city's rich cultural vibrancy. The initiative introduces a streamlined name, Visit Buffalo, formerly Visit Buffalo Niagara, a refreshed logo, and a creative strategy showcasing the city's unique character. The advertising campaign titled That's Buffalo for You leans into city's incredible personality. Ads will run in major U.S. markets such as Boston, Washington, D.C., and Chicago. This is a pivotal moment for Buffalo's visitor economy, said Patrick Kaler, president and CEO of Visit Buffalo. For the first time, we have the resources and visibility to share Buffalo's story on a national scale. This campaign is about more than tourism. It's about redefining how the world sees Buffalo and celebrating the qualities that make this community remarkable. The campaign was built from the ground up, shaped by the voices of more than 24 local artists, entrepreneurs, and cultural leaders who participated in listening sessions and creative workshops earlier this year. Their feedback and ideas became the foundation for a new brand identity, ensuring the story being told is Buffalo's truly its own. Kaler added, the biggest surprise was realizing the brand was already here, alive and well, in the voices of people who call this place home. We heard the same themes echoing, whether it was from a chef in a kitchen, a business leader at the boardroom table, or a musician on stage. Buffalo is resilient, proud, and always ready to welcome you. Our job wasn't to invent, but to listen. Once we did that, the story practically wrote itself. Built around 2-word phrases, the campaign captures Buffalo's mix of grit and sophistication, heritage and reinvention, tradition and innovation. The concepts are historically new, polished grit, and that's Buffalo for you. Polished grit draws attention to industrial sites reborn as climbing walls, beer gardens, and cultural venues. Refreshingly spicy celebrates the diverse food scene, from classic wings to Yemeni coffee to James Beard-nominated chefs. Historically new underscores architectural treasures, including the Richardson Olmsted campus, the Lipsey Architectural Center, and the expanded Buffalo AKG Art Museum. Polished grit is a Buffalo in a nutshell, said Kaler. We have a tough exterior, shaped by history and winters, but look closer and you'll notice the shine. Our restored architecture, our vibrant cultural scene, our strong will to reinvent ourselves without losing our edge, and refreshingly spicy, that's the unexpected kick you don't see coming, but you can't forget once you've tasted it. Sure, it's about the food, but it's also about the attitude. Buffalo doesn't just follow trends, we set them with a wink and a grin. The phrases reflect the same community engagement, the collaborative spirit that guided the campaign's creation from its earliest stages. Krista Glennie, food editor at Buffalo Spree, participated in the sessions and said, I hope the campaign shows both residents and visitors that Buffalo is overwhelming with cultural depth, that special, rare kind of friendliness that is rooted in authenticity. She added, I see Buffalo as a place that is rich in a wide range of historical and contemporary cultural experiences, from incredible food and drink to world-class art and architecture, as well as excellent theater and live music performances. There's no short of engaging experiences worth exploring. Glennie also noted Buffalo's accessibility, saying the city's offerings are available at relatively affordable prices compared to those of equally fascinating cities in the Northeast. Tiffany Gaines, curator of the Birchfield Penny Art Center, was also involved in listening sessions and shared, "I hope this new campaign will be an exciting opportunity to introduce people to just how much Buffalo has to offer, whether it's food, experiences, sports, arts and culture, history, or community." The ads will appear on social media, websites, and billboards in cities with direct flights to Buffalo, including Philadelphia, D.C., Chicago, and Boston, while also targeting traditional markets like Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Rochester, Syracuse, and New York City. Tourism is a critical part of Buffalo's economy. Visitors spend roughly $2.7 billion annually in Erie County, generating $268 million in taxes and supporting nearly 30,000 jobs, providing residents about $692 million in annual tax relief. To expand its reach, Visit Buffalo increased its advertising budget to nearly $3 million, made possible through an increased allocation of Erie County's bed tax revenue, and partnered with MMGI Global to guide the rebranding. "We're raising Buffalo's profile in the travel media as well as in new markets," said Kaler. "The combination of national advertising and national media coverage puts Buffalo in the spotlight like never before." Buffalo's resurgence has been years in the making, driven by waterfront development, restored architecture, and cultural investments such as Buffalo AK Art Museum expansion. With "That's Buffalo for you," Visit Buffalo hopes locals will see what visitors have long admired. Buffalo is a city full of creativity, resilience, and heart, and now the world is taking notice. Great Allentown news. Fat Bob's invests into its future. Owners of Fat Bob's Smokehouse, Patrick and Bridget Ryan, have announced that the time has come to make some serious changes to the restaurant's bar. After 28 years in business while operating in a post-pandemic world, the decision has been made to step it up with a significant investment into the operational dynamics of the space. In 2020, things changed, Patrick told me. The bar side of the business never came back the way we thought it would. Since that time, the food business has taken over a significant part of the bar space. Because of that, we have decided we need to make adjustments to the flow of the operation to recapture between 25 to 30% of the bars that we cannibalized. As we began to take a look at rebuilding the bar and altering the layout of the service areas, it was like peeling off the skin of an onion. There's a big cooler in the middle, which doesn't allow for strong visual presence. Therefore, we're envisioning a new, more welcoming concept that caters to people who want to eat and drink at the bar. It's going to be more comfortable, more appealing, and will give us something to be proud of in the years to come. To date, numerous significant investments have already been made at Fat Bob's, including repairing the roof and upgrading the kitchen equipment. A new overhang roof was also added to the back patio, which has become a little bit if an drinking oasis in recent years. These investments are mainly behind the scenes, but now the bar aesthetic and functional improvements are on the way. Patrick told me that we have retained the service's architect Mike Anderson, Abstract Architecture, to tackle what he is calling phase one of the reworking of the bar area. Since the 1980s, this hospitality hotspot has been pretty much looked and acted the same way, with no substantial investments, including the infrastructure. As the bar industry continues to change, the restaurant operators must figure out ways to also change. By reconfiguring the bar, the server station, the takeout aspect, and the rest, Patrick is confident that he has the right formula for a new, improved Fat Bob's that everyone can appreciate for years to come. Fat Bob's Smokehouse is located at 41 Virginia Place in Buffalo. It can be reached on Instagram. Their hours are closed January 6th through the 8th, January 9th through the 11th, takeout only. Catering at Fat Bob's at 42N in East Aurora and 42N at the Flats on Main will continue with normal operations.
Good morning. Welcome to another broadcast day on the Niagara Frontier